and hello everyone. Welcome to this evenings. It's Saturday evening for me. I hope it is a good time for you as well. We haven't had one of these streams in a while now, so let's finally do it. I'm going to talk about what's happening in the Munich Security Conference. I have like a stacked tabs on my webpage with different panels, discussions, and so on. Well, actually, something that we can decide later on whether or not we want to watch together some of these panels. But in any case, today we're going to be talking about what's happening, what's with other talks. I'm going to answer your questions. But we're going to start, as always, on these shows. Guys, if you're watching this, I want to say huge thanks for doing so. But there are some certain people that are really putting a lot of effort to make sure that this channel stays up and floating, that this channel stays civilized, that we have great discussions in the comment sections, and we have such a great community on our Discord. This is, of course, the moderating team. They are doing incredible job. So please, from everyone that is participating in this community, everyone that is watching this video, can you please join me and give a hand to the moderating team? Just say thank you so much, guys, for the work that you're doing. It is absolutely invaluable. Right. So let's start. The talk of today is obviously everything that is happening on the Munich Security Conference. One of the major topics that we discussed, and obviously what was stealing the show and kind of stealing all of the air in the room, is what US is stating and doing. Now, some people watched my video and they considered, well, Georgie, you just hate Trump, you just hate everything that Trump does, and therefore you're critiquing it. Not necessarily. Like, I do have some personal disrespect for Trump, but this is like a personal level. This is not about talking about what is going to be good for Ukraine or bad for Ukraine. No, more about it's specifically with regards to what's going to be the state of democracy. And in my last video, I specifically wanted to underscore just how big of a mess and how unprofessional the Trump's team presented the case for the United States at the Munich security meeting. But they did make a couple of important points. And a lot of people says like, well, if European Union is now talking about increasing their defense spending, that obviously it is thanks to Trump, we should thank him. No, like, I think it's more of a, like, you see your neighbor setting their house on fire, and you're kind of looking at this, and you're looking at who your neighbor is, and you're considering, maybe I should get some fire insurance for my property. So that's kind of the motivation that a lot of Europeans are looking at. But whatever the motivation, we are seeing and hearing a lot of really good stuff that is coming from the European Union. And let me just transition the scene. So to this article, I think it kind of summarizes quite well. It's not specifically this article, but Ursula von der Leyen. So she is this head of the European Commission. Now, I'm going to devolve a little bit for the people that don't know how Europe works and European Union works. So we have the European Commission, which is the commission of the heads of all the states of the countries. They are the important body that proposes what kind of legislation should be then done on the over government level, like the whole EU level. And this European Commission, and Ursula is also, like, she's the head, the president of the European Commission, and she can also propose some legislation for countries to look at. And she, in her speech in the Munich Security Conference, came out with a very important disclaimer. Now, we in Europe, and this is important to understand, we in Europe in the European Union, sorry, like I'm using the terms interchangeably, but I know that British people, for example, and Norwegians, they kind of like get a little bit sensitive about this. No, like in this case, when I'm talking about Europe, and if I say Europe, I mean the European Union, of course, but it doesn't mean that it's whole Europe. But so in the European Union, we have rules and regulations. Now, the 2008 financial crisis hit Europe pretty hard. Since then, we have been a lot more reluctant in allowing individual member states to just do things with their economy on their own. So what we basically established is like certain brackets of how countries should perform inside of the European Union. Now, some countries kind of fall outside these brackets, but in general, it is not expected that the majority of the European Union will get outside of these brackets. So those brackets are that government deficit should be under 3% of GDP and total government debt should be under 60%. Those are the brackets. And this is very, very simplified, but still. But when we had the COVID times, though that was an extreme challenge for the European Union. And a lot of countries have asked, can we do something about this? Because we want to spend more to fight COVID, because COVID is a bigger problem than just we can solve on our own with our existing defense spending. It's an extreme situation, and that makes sense, right? If your house is on fire, you probably need to start kind of purchasing the fire extinguisher already yesterday. But like, if it's not yesterday, then the best time is now, and you cannot just put it in your regular budget for the next year. So in this case, what was introduced is a fiscal escape clause. So something that allows countries to spend more and go, for example, more in debt than it is normally allowed. So for actions that were linked to fighting COVID, those were not counted towards this bracket of spending. And now Ursula von der Leyen, in this her speech, said basically the same thing. She said that war in Ukraine that Russia initiated is an existential crisis for us, is an existential crisis for all Europe, and this requires us to significantly increase our defense spending, and that this is a challenge that is potentially on the same level as COVID, if not even higher. So we've heard that potentially, if it's accepted, if it goes through the parliament and all of the voting, then European Union will adapt and it's expected that it's going to be expedited procedure. We're already hearing right now that it's going to be voted quite fast, but it's expected that the European Union will approve this escape clause procedure and essentially will allow countries to go outside their brackets to start investing and spending on the defense. And if you're thinking it's like, well, they need to go budget stuff and so on. No. This goes like outside of everything. This means that they can borrow money. This means that they can just go in debt for no reason whatsoever. And if it happens, then actually it's the European Union, like as a whole, because it is like a European Union that allows this escape clause. So even if certain countries go into debt, then if they cannot get out of this debt, but they need to, it's like the problem of the whole European Union. So biggest analogy for the US viewers that I have here is essentially this is like a federal federal clause for the state to spend. So it's essentially federal government says, now you can borrow like as much as you need to get your defense up, which is really, really good. And so far, the numbers that have been circulating is the second highlighted part, that it's the number that was circulating is 500 billion in defense over the coming decade. 500 billion in defense is not a lot. Like that is completely not a lot. It maybe could be a lot if we would consider like this is an investment into Ukrainian production, because that would be pretty good. But in Europe, everything is much more expensive. To put in a perspective, current total budget of defense within the European countries is, I believe, 460 billion euros. So proposal is over 10 years, double that. That is too slow, too little, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more push. This number of 500 billion, I've seen references. It is in reference to some of the articles and research papers that were made in, I believe, early 2024. The reference points were, so there is argument to be made that the situation worsened since then, and that there have been significant requirements for bigger defense spending. The level of defense spending that is being discussed is that European unions should target average of all European countries 3 to 3.5 plus% of defense spending, which is a lot, a lot. Right now, the average in Europe is like 2%. If we get to the 3.5%, with an escape clause that basically allows the European countries to borrow the money on common bill, there is little to no restrictions to why that investment cannot be A, larger, B, more intensive. And getting from existing 2% to 3.5% is much more than 500 billion is expected. I know we're looking at the 500 billions, and you're thinking, if the total spending right now is 460, then additional 1.5%, that would mean that it's about 700. No, that's not how it's going to work. That's not how military spending is. It's all long-term contracts, big increase, and so on. So there's a lot. Anyway, long story short, like I wanted to just know the details, but what it means is that we will have massive spending in Europe into defense. And while it's expected over 10 years, I'm expecting that the most involved countries, they will try to expedite this process. And I've showed you some time ago the chart that showed the breakdown of the current distinction between how much of countries are spending on the equipment and how much they're spending on personnel. We are not expecting that personnel is going to be major increase point for the EU countries. Some, yes, but we're not expecting major. So that 1.5% additional average throughout Europe increase, that is actually going to be like absolute bulk of it will be equipment. So that is great news for Ukraine. While we will see significant increase specifically in ammunition, weapons production, and everything else. This is absolutely amazing news, great news, and the best part is truly that in Europe we have about 1.4 trillion euros in savings. That is dead money. That is money that is not being spent, and it's supposed to be like a money that we save up for, like when the time of trouble comes. Well, the time of troubles is now. That's basically what the government is spending. So what we might expect is additional pressure that's going to be put on spending, on savings. So potentially beyond the just direct investments into the weapons production by the countries of the European Union, we might see also the countries of European Union taking specific policies and increase the pressure on savings. So the money that Europe has been saving up and living like on that pillow, so that pillow starts being spent right now and get essentially more blood into European economy and move that financial blood into specifically defense spending and defense procurement. Huge news. Great to see. And yeah, I've read about everything beyond that. And the best part is what we're hearing from the Munich Security Conference, as I said, like best friends of Ukraine, the Nordic countries, Poland, Baltic countries, but we're also hearing from like Germans and French that seemingly, we have the total understanding of what we want to achieve. And it is crucial that we are hearing voices like Mette Frederiksen. Mette Frederiksen is a Prime Minister of Denmark, and she has some points to make with regards to Ukraine. I'm going to play 2 videos for you here.
Let me start by answering your first question. You were asking all of us in the panel, what is the plan with Ukraine? And let me jump to conclusion. It is to win the war. That's the plan.
Yeah, so this is the words that we're hearing from the Munich Security Conference. Ukraine should win. Ukraine should win. No more like as long as it takes. It's like we're hearing more and more voices saying it's about winning. And then she also makes this statement right over here.
The best thing to give Ukraine, let's be honest, I know some allies are against this, is NATO membership. If they were a member of NATO, we would never have had the war in Ukraine. It's the cheapest, it's the easiest way forward to protect countries, transatlantic, it is to be in NATO. I know it's a difficult path because some good, big allies are not in favor of this, but then at least these good, big allies have to discuss with the rest of us what kind of security guarantees can we then offer Ukraine that are as good as NATO membership.
There we go. And that is important because these are the statements that are coming from the EU leaders. These are the types of statements that we're hearing together with the calls for just more defense spending inside of Europe. So incredible news, just absolutely incredible. It's hands down, this is great. Now, obviously, with like everything in EU, biggest question is, raise my microphone output. It's coming a bit quiet. Let's see. I'm not sure if I can. It's already on maximum, to be honest. I can try and putting like some of the gain in the... Let me see how microphone works. Yeah, there's maximum gain on a microphone. People say it's fine. So if it's too silent, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm sorry. You're quieter than your vids. Okay. Let's see. I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry. Like I need to go somewhere in the properties probably, and I don't know how to do it. Microphone is fine. Give me a second. I think maybe I know. How about this? Better? Okay. It's because like when I put it like this, it's like it goes like the bar. You know, it colors like green, then yellow, then it's red. And if I put it like this, then it's too loud. Fuck me. All right. Hopefully this is going to be somewhere in a sweet spot. Anyway, let's yeah, perfect. Great. Yes, so incredible news. Europe is really stepping up, and this is where you probably don't remember, but at some point when Trump got elected, I was talking about that Trump might find it difficult to talk with the modern Europe, because Europe in 2025, oh my God, like the time for me is just, so since 2022 to 2020, that was my thought process. So Europe in 2025 is not the same Europe that was in 2016 to 2020. Europeans, while we're not fully yet in the like a fully understandable position, fully realized, self-actualized position, in general, we see that US is coming hard by demanding essentially Europeans to fall in line. And the only retort that we see from Europeans is, who the fuck do you think you are? Why do you try to tell us and talk at us what we should do? We know best, get lost. That is basically the response. Like, everything is obviously a lot more civilized and a lot more diplomatic, but that's pretty much the response that we got. And it feels that Trump is now going to be stuck. I recently saw the video by Anders Bak-Nielsen, and he explained very clearly that whatever Trump's administration is doing right now, whatever they're planning and hoping, like having a conversation with Russia and then pushing it on Ukraine, that's not going to work, because Ukraine is already realized own agency. I remember this time the word. And Ukraine will not agree to anything that Ukraine doesn't agree. But also Europe is not the same. And what might happen is that Trump is going to hit the wall, that his whole... I'm struggling calling it a plan, because to be honest, the longer this goes and the more statements we hear, the more understanding that there is absolutely no plan whatsoever comes to fruition. And this is not about me, like, you know, liking Trump, disliking Trump. No, I'm very pragmatic. Like I said, like Trump is very transactional. So if you're transactional, let's try being transactional. But transactional is about like benefit, right? Transactional is not about like US is coming and starting lecturing the Europeans on how they should do democracy. That is not transactional relationship. That is United States trying to state as like, we want to be involved in Europe, which is like completely contradicting point to what they said before, stating we want Europe to be doing their shit. You cannot do both. It's either. And so far, the bigger response was specifically on the European side was that, well, if you want us to be alone, we will do it alone. Interesting points overall. So I'm very happy to hear that Europeans are stepping up. I'm very happy to hear that we're seeing more and more loud voices. There's supposed to be a big meeting tomorrow with European heads about the potential for expedited procedure of all of the things that we just discussed. So we're going to follow up on this. I will mention this in my next video. But now let's turn our eyes to your questions, and then we're going to discuss. Hope this was helpful. Okay, the first question that I see, if there was something before, then please re-ask question. Morocco is asking, what say you, Georgie, about the fat orange circus peanut is making concessions to Putin before negotiations began? Look, like I was not expecting Trump to be very favorable to Ukraine, and I don't think anyone was. So I feel that it's not good or bad, because it's like they're sending mixed messages, and so far it's not completely clear what they want to do. Like, what is more saddening for me, and I want to underscore saddening, is because I love United States very much, and I love people in the United States. I love the United States country. What is sad for me is just how unprofessional and unprepared his team's first appearance on the world stage was. Just how amateurish it was. So the fact that they have been walking back their statements like hours after they just said it out loud, they go out in public, they put on their big boy pants, they try to like say, we will not do this ever because US strong. And then like an hour later, it's like, oh, sorry, you misunderstood me. That's not what I meant. It's like, come on, man. Like, come on. It's just sad. Kazabin, do you think President Zelensky will go into the peace talks with the US without Europe being a part of peace negotiations? No. Zelensky already underscored multiple times that this will not go without Europe. Georgie, keep up the great work, G. Do you think the Cardinal Birds would write a song called Europe Matters or US Aid Matters? I don't know, like Cardinal Birds. By the way, yeah, Cardinal Birds, they asked me for a shout out. I'll find during the program maybe a track, because the guy, basically the ones that went into the Ukrainian armed forces, and the guy that stayed still on the civilian side, he actually is doing like a solo sessions or something. So I promised him a shout out, so I'll do that. Russell Lambert, go to Moscow, Russia. I don't understand what this comment was towards. It's like whether Ukraine needs to go and win Moscow or Putin should. I don't understand. It's a weird comment. Richard Roddy, can the European Union buy up Patriot missiles from US, sending them to Ukraine? As far as I understood, yes. Like, I mean, but it's hard to tell because, as I said, like Trump administration has been contradicting itself every day. So one day they were stating that they don't want to participate anything in Europe, but they also want European Union to buy more US weapons. So if they will allow Europeans to pay for US weapons and just sell these weapons to Europeans and sell these weapons to Ukrainians, I mean, then I'm kind of feeling okay. Giuseppe Arella, how much do you estimate the Russian army can still last with current level of attrition and sanctions? Keep up the good work. It's a difficult question. like if we go ceteris paribus, like all things equal, I would say by the end of 2026 they would be done. But that's not how things work, right? We always see moving parts change. We see that Russia goes around the sanctions. We see that things are always in flux. We will definitely see significant weakening of Russian positions during 2025. It does, like whatever the case. Even if there is like some sanctions lifted, there's going to be still significant weakening of Russian positions in 2025, no matter what. But will it be like to the level that it's absolutely critical and like there's no chance to go forward? That is the question. Lou is asking, we keep talking about making ammo factories, but the EU way will take 25 years. No, not really. No, Europeans have been pretty good, but as I said, like there are certain limits. Plus, a lot of the factories are being built inside of Ukraine. Like Rheinmetall already opened 2 factories. They're preparing to, it's like they opened one. Second one, I believe, got a bit delayed, but it's going to start operating soon. And then the third one, they're also planning to build. If there's going to be more significant investment, there is no reason why not to invest and open up build factories. So I do not agree that it's going to take 25 years. I think this is a bit, it's just unfounded criticism. Nasi Elon says, why am I blocked from commenting on your channel in live chat in the comments section of your video? Well, you're writing here, and I can see your comments, so I guess you're not blocked then. Anyway, please ask the questions on the subject. Arima, what do you think of this while us in now... Oh my god. What do you think of this while us is now fucking around that Europe finally takes over the whole Ukraine aid and starts to give newest and the best stuff like Rafales and F-35s and all of the best gear? Okay, so this is like a bit of a word salad, my friend. So, can European Union fully take over United States? Yes, but not right away. I think these decisions that European Union is making right now are crucial, and they will help Ukraine a lot. But it's gonna come online maybe 2026. Importantly, Ukraine has enough stuff from Europe and United States in pipeline to get through 2025. So if we take into account that, if Trump suddenly doesn't just like stop all of the aid to Ukraine and he just allows what has been already agreed on to just go to Ukraine, then Ukraine will be fine. Then 2025 Ukraine will be fine, despite all of the fear-mongering. 2026 plus, it's going to depend how serious Europeans are going to approach this decision. If Northern Europeans, let's say Nordics, Baltics, Poland, just going to take that escape clause and just going to run with this and just invest massively this year, then yes, then Europeans will be able to pretty much substitute. Obviously, if there's going to be the ability to buy those critical components that Europe doesn't produce, like Patriot missiles and so on. So, yeah, I think it is possible. But also F-35 is not a European jet. Paul Deck, I hope to immigrate to Europe since over here we're elected the same mobster autocrat as Russia, as that's not American, but my American values are still the same. So first things first advice, Europe is not a country. Europe is a collection of countries. So in countries vary wildly. So in Europe, there is a lot of differences between southern, western, potato, tomato. There is a lot of ways to slice up Europe. So you need to, if you're stating that I want to immigrate to Europe, you already are approaching this question very, very loosely. It's unserious. You need to figure out which country do you want to go to. That's going to be your first challenge. Kathleen T, can Orban block this escape clause for defense investments? There has been rules that allowed to go around this. Most likely there will be some kind of pressure with Orban. There's definitely going to be some sort of a dance. But overall, we will see that there's going to be a lot more possibility. But to be honest, I'm not sure that Orban wants to, because it's free money. It's basically free money. Why would he not do it? I mean, to lick Putin's balls, maybe, to win something extra for himself, most definitely. But I don't think he's gonna turn away free money. Lorethin, I'm sorry for butchering your name. Love your videos and streams. I'd like to know the rare earth resources that are in the news today. How vital has that been to the Ukrainian economy so far? Hasn't heard of it recently. So there are two things. Have the Ukrainian resources been valuable for Ukraine? Yes. Ukrainians are having a lot of resources, but Ukraine didn't have a lot of investment in technology to develop a lot of their resource production. A lot of their raw resources were produced in Donbass, like iron and metalworks, and that was like a big part of Ukrainian resource production. But they have a lot more than that. They've just been undeveloped. So what Ukraine wants is they want mutual beneficial contracts for the resources in their ground. They want essentially that the companies of US will invest, develop these resources, and Ukraine gets the profits from these resources. However, as we now heard of the leaked statement of the Ukrainian, of what this contract that the US is proposing to Ukraine, essentially what the Trump administration proposed to Ukraine is, you just give us half of your resources that you have, and we're going to own it 100%. And we're going to develop and do with them whatever we want. We're just going to own them. You're just going to be our bitch. And they didn't attach any security guarantees to it. They just said like everything else is on a separate track whatsoever. This is just like, we're just discussing resources. And obviously Zelensky looked at it and said like, nice joke. Good luck. So far, their offer that Trump administration has presented to Zelensky is completely unserious. It's a joke. So that is not what Ukraine had in mind when it's offered its resources. Eleander Dulak, what happens if USA and... Oh, by the way, last thing about resources. Zelensky also recently stated that he also proposing the resources to the Europeans to increase investment in Ukraine. So potentially US will just get nothing. Eleander Dulak, what happens if USA and Russia make a deal but Ukraine and EU refuses to go along? That's the main question that Anders Pak-Nielsen is describing. He says that the Trump administration is going to be up for the rude awakening because Ukraine has agency and Europe has seemingly agency. At least it's coming up. And Trump's administration is basically waltzing in, and it feels like that there is a delusion in Trump's cabinet. And again, this is not about me disliking Trump. It's just how they're positioning themselves. It's how they're addressing Ukraine, how they're addressing the situation. We're talking about a specific situation. And the way that they're addressing the situation is that they are seemingly assuming that they are the most dominant party and the hottest shit in the room, so to say, which they're not. The support for Ukraine was important because previous administrations of the United States cared for democracy and the state of the rule of law and the world order. But now it's not on the menu anymore, so it's unclear whether this matters for Trump's administration at all. So quite possibly, they will try to negotiate something with Russia. They will get said as like, well, it's good that you did it, but like, who cares? Fuck off. And then it's going to be dependent. Like, then we're going to find out, as Anders Pak-Nielsen said, what's the real Ukraine policy that's going to be with the Trump administration. Because right now, it feels that they're just in their delusion about who they are and what they do. Awesome HPT, do you think that Europe should build up own nuclear arsenal? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Nuclear non-proliferation is dead. Like, it's absolutely dead. So, more nukes. Build nukes now. That's the only way forward. Absolutely the only way. No way around it. Every country needs nukes. Baltics need nukes. Everyone needs nukes. Nukes. Like, the whole point of world order and rule-based world order and some kind of a policing body like United States is that there is enforcement of some sort of a law. So we're not we are substituting the right of might, so the country that is more powerful, to impose their will on the smaller countries by stating, no, even if the country is more powerful, it cannot really impose their will on a smaller country, because then the big policeman is going to come and kind of not make it happen. And that's what's the whole point that I'm saying why this channel is running, why Ukraine matters. Because it matters for this world order. Because if this doesn't exist, then we end up in a situation where are we now? And we are already here. That's it. The old world order is gone. We're now in a situation where we're back to the age of empires, to the rule of might. Now it's a bit of a transitioning period. So we're not fully there yet. Like, for example, Taiwan exists still. But I can guarantee you that if China invades Taiwan tomorrow, there's not going to be much protection from the United States. I'm like 100% sure. So we are fully in the age of empires. We're fully already like neck deep in the rule of might. So that means only one thing. If your opponent has a big club, you need to have a bigger club. Or at least the same size. So yeah, nukes, all the way. All the way. No questions about it. Everyone should get nukes, like everyone. Iran, Israel, Gaza, whatever. Everyone gets nukes. Nukes for fucking everyone. Good job. Good job, United States. You blew it up. Had one job. Lorian Hanish, how Ukraine is addressing the fact that Trump uses virtual politicking, creating the reality then he then operates from, and likes Putin, lies, manipulates, do not trust him, feels and above. Yeah, so his reality, yeah, I know what you mean. So his reality works only until it hits the actual reality. It's a matter of perspectives, right? If there are people that believe that reality, then it's true. You know, it's like religion. Like if people believe religion, then it is true. And it doesn't matter that the religion that they believe is completely contradicting the religion that the countries next door believe. Like it doesn't really matter, because both one side believe that and the other side believe that. And it can be anything, like, I don't know, vaxxing, anti-vaxxing, flat earth, round earth. You know, if there is a parallel reality, it's fine until you start trying to build, for example, planes based on the flat earth. And then you suddenly start realizing that your planes don't fly. It's okay, for example, to fire all of your disease control specialists, or sorry, more actual, your flight control specialists, but then suddenly the planes start falling from the sky. So the problem of reality is that when reality hits, it hits fucking hard. And if you lived in your dream reality thinking that you're hot shit, then it's going to hit you even harder. So I want actually to underscore that so far, Putin is not negotiating in good faith, right? Trump might agree something with Putin, but what we're hearing from Putin's administration is basically he changes nothing. he still wants essentially denazification of Ukraine, demilitarization of Ukraine, and he wants essentially Ukrainian economy gutted and whatever. So he wants partition of Ukraine. He changed nothing in his proposal to Trump. That's what we're hearing. So it's a non-starter. It's not even a discussion point. Putin is not going to be negotiating in good faith. Now, does Putin wants talks to start? Does Putin wants ceasefire? Yes. And actually, Russian state, it's like, for talks to start, US should stop sending weapons to Ukraine. I mean, it's like, how more transparent can you be? Edgar sounds Trump helped Putin in secret. We got information that Trump sent C-19 equipment only. We got information that Trump sent C-19 equipment only in recent U.S. elections. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Maybe that news missed me, so I don't know what it is about. Sorry. Jesper Kolberg, what would happen if United States lift the sanctions against Russia? Can Europe in any way do anything to counter that? Yes, if they want to. So far, Europe, again, was slacking in reinforcement of their sanctions, despite the fact of really stating very, very loudly that we are against Russia. If Europe actually starts putting and enforcing the sanctions that they pushed on Russia, more specifically preventing their economies and companies in their economies to violate these sanctions, which is actually the lion's share of Russian profits from Europe, then yes, then it matters. Then there is a significant impact that Europe can do. If not, then it's just not. Then it's just a joke. Arimo, I meant if we send all the best weaponry EU got now, my opinion is the war could be over in 6 months because now Ukrainians are fighting decades-old weapons. I understand. Okay, so if we send basically F-16s to Ukraine, it's not as easy. I mean, I approve of that. Don't get me wrong. I think we should. But it's not that easy. I think it's going to be a big question for people to discuss, but I think it's going to be a hard sell for the European leaders. I think everyone is still chickening out. I mean, Denmark sent all of their artilleries to Ukraine. So there is already examples of doing that. But we'll see. We'll see. It's now about political discussion and what it's going to end up to. I think we should take a hit in defense in Europe and support Ukraine as much as we can, hopefully with the newest weapons. But we also send already some of the newest weapons. Like Germany sends some of these vehicles, like what's it called, Sky Rangers or something, like some vehicles with big cannon on top, fast shooting cannon. I'm sorry, I'm not a professional military expert. I think Boxers they were called or something. I don't know. And they were not even on the equipment list in the German military. Skynex, yeah, maybe Skynex, yeah. So we are sending some newest equipment ever. F-16s, F-35s would be obviously awesome, but I think F-16s would be good enough for Ukraine. It's just the mass is missing, you know? Ukraine needs like 200 F-16s. So far, the news recently leaked, so far Ukraine has about 35 of them. That's not enough. $35 is enough for like these like targeted missions on the front line. That's it. Ukraine needs at least like 60 to start like, you know, using these planes and like really putting pressure on a lot of front line. Mahadi Antor, why we talk like Trump is gonna fuck up at some point? Why do act like Trump collapse will not be as big as his first few weeks and swing back the American voter to Ukraine support once again? I don't understand what this question is about. Is the core of the question like why I don't like Trump? I don't like Trump on personal level, but it's beyond the point of what's happening in Ukraine. The biggest issue, if I can call it like this, that I have with Trump is that his team is absolutely amateurish and they're approaching the situation like fucking children. And they're gonna hit the wall of reality very, very soon. And it's very clear that they have like no plan. Like that's my critique of Trump. And it has nothing to do with his character and so on. It's just his cabinet showed that they are completely incompetent. What do you believe the role of China might be if the United States abandons NATO, Michael? So, Michael, the answer is very simple. What is already happening? Why am I stating that the current diplomatic fiasco that the United States team showed on the Munich Security Conference is that after all of these speeches and lecturing the Europeans about what US wants to do and how US wants to see Europe and whatever, what happened is like all of the pro-China voices, all of the people that are promoting Chinese and closer cooperation between Europe and China, they got their bookings full for the next month. They instantly started calling every single European politician and stating, it's like, can you really trust this ally? It's like, like China is no ally, but US is not your ally as well. But at least let's consider like some kind of closer trade relationship with China. It's a good market. You can get really good things with working with China. Now, no one is saying that they're promoting like China is becoming a substitute for US or a closer ally. No, they're just trying to push the idea that United States is not really that good of a friend. And if they're not good of a friend, and if they just want to be a trading partner, then why do you need to not trade with China? Because China can also be a trading partner. So all of these people, like what Trump's administration did is the biggest gift ever to China. It basically, like, I cannot say that they fully gifted access to Europe to China, but pretty much. Like, that's why what US did is a disaster. Not the fact that it's like, oh, Trump incompetent, whatever, there's some dispute. No. Like, because what Trump's administration did is reinforced every single adversary in the world that United States have, and basically lost many allies in Europe. So that's the whole point. Not that like it's like, oh my God, what they're doing. No, it's like United States is gonna have their fair share of problems. Like, I mean, like you have problems with Elon dismantling the companies and government facilities that he doesn't like. There's a fight against judiciary. Congress is incompetent in the United States. Now you have anti-vaxxer, conspiracy theorist as medical head of medical. I don't know even how's it, because it's not ministry. You don't have ministries like so. Head of medical ministry. I'm just gonna call it like this. You have the Russian asset. Again, conspiracy theorist, pro-Assadist, head of the intelligence. It's like US is gonna have so much internal problems right now. Then to be honest, like I cannot be mad at the United States. I love United States. But like you're gonna be like internally extremely screwed, unfortunately. So that is not sending reinforcing messages to us Europeans. That is sending only one specific message from what Trump administration is doing, is that this is untrusted ally. Like an ally is even like putting like a question mark, ally question mark. And then China just waltzes in as like, hey, cheap products. Hard sell. Let's read some of the super chats because people have been really great. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Now that I'm running this channel on my own, all support is super matters for me. But support Ukraine first and foremost. By the way, before I go to the super chats, guys, the most important thing that you can do if you have some disposable income is you can participate in our fundraiser. So we've doing an incredible job. Well, I mean, you guys are doing an incredible job. I'm just trying to show you that there's a pathway to do stuff. We are at 144,000 already. We are 6,000 away to getting over 150, and that means like we're gonna be like less than 100,000 left. It's been a long running campaign, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna push it through. It is incredible, absolutely incredible job. So if you can, if you have some ability to share like a $2, $3, $4, $5, whatever, euros, kroners, whatever you have, please share it. Ukrainians will need that help. This saves lives, and this is the most important. And then if you have some disposable income, then you can support this channel, and I appreciate it. But I appreciate you just being here as well, like just talking with me, asking this question. This is everything that I want from you. But please consider supporting Ukraine. This is what matters. Anyway, let's read some of the super chats, the people that support this channel as well. H. Saurid, thank you so much for being a member for 4 months. Slava Ukraini, do перемоги. Absolutely, my friend. Until victory. Russell Whiskey, member for 20 months. Thank you so much for so long. Putin wants us divided. We need to stay united. Yes, and we will stay united for sure. Nathaniel Campbell, thank you so much for $10. No comments, just a image. H. Saurid, thank you so much for 25 Canadian bucks. Go Canada. Smartly, thank you so much for 5 gifted Ukraine Matters memberships. Hans Eriksson, thank you so much for 200 Swedish kroners. Appreciate it. Thank you, Georgie. Slava Ukraini. Heroem Slava, my friend. Shimra Jamana, do you agree that EU needs more countries within it that have their own nuclear deterrent? Yes. Yes. I told already this. That's more nukes. Richard Bennett, thank you so much for 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate that. Shimra Jamana, it's past time for EU to confiscate the frozen Russian assets to pay for aiding Ukraine and supporting the EU rearmament. Yes, but also a lot of that money is stored in some tax havens that are not fully controlled by EU. But there are plenty of money in countries like Belgium, and this needs to be tackled somehow. Like, I mean, but you need to understand that like European Union is not the same as United States, right? United States, there is the federal government that kind of dictates like if something needs to be done. There is always federal government that dictates. Europe is like basically the complete opposite. Like we have the super government body, the European Union system, but that super government body is basically a subject to individual countries' whims. So like the super government body doesn't dictate stuff. That's the unfortunate part. But if we can convince countries like Belgium that this is going to be worth it, then I hope we do. But we need support of Germany and France for that, for sure. If there is that, then there's going to happen. Captain Copenhagen, EU army now? Yes. The problem with EU army always been one very simple thing. Who's going to lead it? That's been the most fought over discussion, because whenever French are proposing like let's do EU army, then they're instantly assuming that it's going to be France that's going to be leading the EU army. The argument there is also should be made that it should be maybe Poland leading the EU army. I think that there is a solution. I just don't understand why they don't discuss it seriously. Hopefully, now we're going to have a lot more serious discussion with regards how to approach this. Captain Copenhagen, thank you so much for 17 kroners again. Trump deal is a spit on the face of EU. Yeah, I noticed. I noticed like when JD Vance came out and started educating me on how our democracy should be. That was very rich. I was basking in irony. Flash 73. So if the rare earths, what if Ukraine skips US and tempts EU with the contracts instead? How about that? Yeah, it's already happening. Zelensky already offered that to Europeans. Mark Vital, thank you so much for €5 for a coffee. Thanks for your work. Appreciate it, my friend. Jesper Peterson, thank you so much for 89 Danish kroners. No message. Bart Lawrence, thank you so much for $10. Excellent discussion. Hey, anytime. Like, I mean, the discussion kind of flows itself with a company like this. It's great. Elias, thank you so much for joining in the Saint Javelin tier. Appreciate it. Newman, thank you so much for being a member for 20 months. Travis Erickson, footsteps, yes. Shimra Jamana, why has South Korea not sent any military aid to Ukraine, especially since they have huge reserves of artillery? Two major reasons. One is like what Jake Bro actually described quite well, is that South Korea doesn't see North Koreans as the enemy. They see North Koreans as their own people that is being subjugated by the Kim regime. So the enemy of South Koreans is the Kim regime. So it's not necessarily for them to oppose North Korean actions anywhere in the world because they just want Kim regime gone. They don't want to fight like their own people. Secondly, the pro-Ukrainian party in the South Korean parliament was ironically the party of the president that tried doing the coup attempt, which was the most stupidest, useless, weakest coup, I think, in any kind of history. It was really pathetic, the way that he did tried doing his coup. And he got arrested now, and he's going to be tried. And the political party that came, the opposition party that came to power because of that, they're actually against interfering in the matters of Europeans. They're stating it's not our business. Like, it's not something we should participate in. They actually want to have relationships with Russia, not because they support Russia, but they're kind of like, it's like it's a free world. So unfortunately, current government in South Korea is not favorable to Ukraine. That's kind of like short of it. Antonius Pius, thank you so much for $50. Appreciate it. I would prefer half go to Ukraine support, but I would need it for your expenses. I understand. Of course, I'll never know. Anyway, guys, if you're considering whether giving money and giving to Ukraine, please give to Ukraine. I maybe like got significant hit once I quit my job, but there's a lot of things that I'm having in a pipeline that will hopefully help sustain. And worst case scenario, I will go back to my job. I still have some savings, right? So please, 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 despite the fact that I'm not like getting a lot of money since I'm not working only on YouTube, don't let that stop you. First and foremost, please donate to Ukrainians. Donate to our fundraisers. This is what matters the most. I will be fine. I come from a very poor background. I've been through tough times. I will be okay. Don't worry about it. Please, please, please. Don't feel pressured that you need to send me money. Please, first and foremost, send to Ukraine. Jayhawk, thank you so much for $5. Long live Ukraine. Appreciate it, my man. Ellie, thank you so much for being a member for 25 months. JD Vance makes Travis and Ohio proud. Rook Smith, you missed my message. Did I miss your message? Was it a paid message? You can just write in chat with @Ukraine Matters, Rook. I will try to read your comments. You don't need to donate me money. Captain Copenhagen, thank you so much. European Parliament can control the EU army. Yeah, something like this. Rook Smith, yes. Rook, what message? Can you write in just regular chat if I missed it? Thank you so much for $5 for that. I'll try to read it in advance. Shimra Jamai, good willing JD Vance embarrassingly expose Europe to own terrible decisions will blunt the rise of parties like AfD and Le Pen. I wouldn't put on it like, I think there's a lot of push for different reasons inside of Europe why these parties are popular. Thank you for support, yeah. I'm still waiting for a message from Rook. Just give me like 2 minutes. Maybe he writes it and then we continue on. Do you think Trump will reverse sanctions on Russia? He can do this. Like, I mean, that's what the expectations are. So far, I'm having neutral attitude towards what Trump will do, what Trump won't do. I'm just saying that what they have been doing so far has been pitifully bad executed. Like, whatever their message was, if they wanted to what is the word? Berate? Ukraine, not Ukraine, but berate the Europeans, it came out really bad. Is it berate? I hope it is berate, man. My English is not very good, I know. Okay. 10 seconds more. If Rook is not going to send a message, then I don't know. Because I checked the comments and I cannot find it. Okay, maybe I'm going to open Discord just in case if Ali maybe saw that message. She usually is like, if someone is really poking me, Ali usually just writes me what's happening. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is something I need to show you guys. Absolutely left of field. So I was just checking out. We were watching like some show in US like about cooking, and it was filmed in Austin, Texas. And I'm like saying to my wife, hey, Austin is pretty democratic. I'm pretty sure they voted very, very democratic, not for Trump. And my wife says like, no, but like Texas is pretty, like I have friends in Texas. Texas is pretty like pro Trump. I said like, yeah, but like in some cities they voted actually very pro-democratic party. And then we went into like the list of counties in Texas that voted. And we found out that no, like Austin actually voted like 80% for Trump, but Dallas actually voted 60% for Harris. But there was also a couple of curiosities that we found. And I'm going to show it to you right now. So curiosity number one that we found is that Bandera voted for Trump 80.4%. So so Bandera is absolutely pro-Trump, now confirmed. And the second one is this one. So we found out that Harris voted for Harris. It was a good election. It's amazing discoveries what you can find out looking at these data points. Did I miss anything? No, that's fine. So yeah, a couple of fun curiosities when we were studying the Texas. All right, let's continue on. I cannot see any messages from Rook, so I'm sorry if I missed it. Oh wait, Ali actually wrote, Rook Smith, how has nocturnal drone warfare, specifically FPV drones, evolved since last year? Well, the biggest step right now in evolution is the optical drones. Optical drones are incredible because they're harder to navigate. They're not as maneuverable as the regular FPV drones, but the optical drones has major advantages. They're able to fly for a long distance and they don't lose connection. So for example, if you put something like 50 kilometer spool on these drones, then technically this drone can fly up to 50 kilometers with no interruptions in the signal. So this is not something that you can really do with regular drones without having like a, what is called like a retranslator or like a additional like a, I'm sorry, like the terminology is escaping me. Like something that allows the signal, the radio signal, to get to the maneuver drone. So the optical drones have been pretty incredible. Repeater, yes, thank you so much. So the repeater signal. So the optical drones, they don't need this. They can fly. And the worst thing that is right now is that these drones are able to navigate close spaces. So if beforehand, for example, like FPV drones cannot really fly into the bunkers, into the tunnel network or anywhere, because they just like lose signal, the optical drones don't have that problem. So the optical drones can fly into like garages, they can fly into underground facilities. It's creates new challenges for the front lines right now. Beyond that, high explosives on drones have evolved significantly. There is now a lot of different explosives being attached. And some of the explosives are extremely powerful. They are able to do huge damage. All right, let's get back to questions. I hope that answers that. Oh, there's a lot of questions you ask, guys. Wait, I remember this one. Oh, there was the Michael question about China. Great. Kellen Dunn, the way Trump GOP acts is how Clinton, Russia, UK acted in the 90s, failing to recognize Ukraine's has agency. It won't work. Can Ukraine fight on without US aid? I already answered most of it. The answer is yes. Also, Ukraine right now is not the same Ukraine as was in 90s. It's Ukrainian nationalism, and I mean nationalism in a good sense, not in the bad sense that it's been used a lot lately. I mean nationalism in a good sense, like the sense of a nation has been significantly grown in Ukraine. There is a lot more that sense within Ukrainian society. There is a cohesion, understanding that this is not some kind of fragmented post-Soviet state that has different ways to go. I think there is like very single-minded approach to it. Fabian asks, Trump is basically just as greedy for raw materials in Donbass as Putin. It is conceivable that he will end up being more useful than the hesitant Biden if Zelensky pulls the right buttons. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's diplomacy. You know, no one really knows the outcome. It's about who can navigate what. We definitely saw that Putin can really butter up him pretty good. So his diplomacy also works pretty well on Trump. Greg C. Georgia, if the Trump's regime continues to be a Russian asset, should they be kicked out of NATO? I mean, in large sense, if US is not going to... Basically, NATO already is being questioned, to be honest, right? Because if Trump says, like, we're not going to be protecting guys in NATO, well, does the agreement even exist? Can we even trust the agreement? And if we're talking about agreements, Trump has violated agreements that he negotiated themselves. So if agreements and approval and like things don't really matter for Trump, and the only thing that matters is what have you done for me lately, well, then there can be no NATO, because the whole point of NATO is that there is this rock solid agreement that cannot be broken. That attack on one is an attack on all. But if it's like attack on one, but it's not really attack on me if I don't feel like it, well, then it's shit. Then it just is dead. Tosanabe, what do you think about Trump teams look down on EU and Ukraine? I already expressed a lot. Why do you think what do these people think they are? I think best game to play is to ignore these attrition monkeys for 4 years. Go make your MAGA bitch. No, I don't think that completely neglecting Trump's administration is a reasonable way forward. Again, I think that transactional relationship with the United States is fine. I don't think that this is totally bad. I just think that right now we have this weird surprise Pikachu face on a lot of European leaders, that they are supposedly surprised that Trump is not really in favor of alliances. But that's exactly how he's been from the day one. So I think we need a lot more pragmatic approach, and I would like to see European leaders to be less surprised and shocked about what the Trump administration says and does. So I think Europeans needs to be more reasonable in like expectations that US is not an ally anymore. And so far, especially like Germans, when I heard like Germans on the Munich Security Conference and what they speak, like Olaf Scholz and so on, he still lives in some kind of fantasy world where US is like this big, great ally that's just cannot wait to come and help poor Germany whenever it needs something. It's pathetic. KP, Trump's prior peace plans always shut out one party, Afghan government, Palestinians, and now Ukraine. The only negotiations is how you're going to take it. For sure. Ukraine is in a lot stronger position to say no to Trump than any of their other parties. Kay Hansen, how long before Trump and Musk gets a divorce? I don't know. It's sorry. It's like a guessing game. Max Palm, do you think Zelensky is right when he says EU plus Ukraine cannot survive without US, or it's something that he says to keep US from leaving to it? No, it's the second one. Like, I think because look, no one says that if US leaves, it's just gonna be like nothing ever happened. That it's not gonna cost anything. It will. It will cost. Like a lot of Ukrainians are gonna die. A lot of the territory gonna be left. Ukraine can still win this war without US, but it's gonna be a lot more pain. Like it's gonna be really devastating for Ukrainians. Why do that? Like, so Zelensky is doing the right thing and doing everything that he can to keep United States doing what it's doing. So it's important for him to say that these messages to underscore the importance of US, because US is important. It's not something that can be just easily dismissed and said like we don't really need these the help or Patriot missiles or whatever, because they do. JXJ, how difficult is for US to have its own army? Maybe it's time to have it. Yes, the biggest problem is like who is going to lead it, and that's why negotiation is going to be about. It was me, Georgies. I don't think I have a way to know whether my question go cut off for you. So I'm asking again, are there more intentions to invest in Ukrainian military production buying from Ukraine? Yes, significantly. We hear a lot of that. I hear a lot of that. I'm talking in a lot of these circles, and there is a lot of desire and a lot of the pathways for investment. Like with this clause, there's going to be also investment into Ukraine as well. Scott Hilderman, is it reasonable that whether the US pulls out of NATO is now irrelevant as the chances that they will support their... I already answered this question basically, Scott, so hope you understand. Richard Purnell, what do you think about Canada joining the European Union or possibly even other countries? And we're open for this. EU has specifically stated that, and Poland specifically stated that they're heading the EU, that we're very, very much open to new member states. But to join the EU, Canada needs to apply to join the EU. They haven't so far, so... we can start talking about Canada joining EU when they're going to apply joining the EU. We would be open for this. I don't think that anyone would be against it. Well, maybe Orban, because he's like full on Putin's balls. He's like diet, you know. His diet is very toxic. Trump flag. Europe always talks more money, rarely about military capabilities, doubling all prices, would spend the money. Aren't you concerned we just got bloated prices rather than strong and capable forces? No. It's a long question to answer. There is a long answer, but no. We've seen that the questions of streamlining and efficiency within the militaries has been raised significantly since it was before. That's why we see increased spending in Ukraine, for example. Edgar T, sorry, I misspelled something. I asked if Trump could help Putin, and we don't know about it. Secret military aid, money transfer, even more since European Union and Ukraine will not take US shit deal. We don't know. That's the current argument, right? Because his actions has been inconsistent, and it's unclear where he's going to land at when he's going to hear no from Ukraine and the European Union. Lisa Mitchell, do you think Trump will use the oil and gas as a leverage to make EU conform to his demands, wishes? He could. He could. But that's a possible outcome. Yeah. He definitely could try to strong arm EU. But the EU already stated that they will react to any kind of tariffs or anything. Modernity Oddity, why does the world not notice Elon is running the show in a self-coup enabled by Trump? Posters in all 50 states, continue has grown, check. Yeah, US is going to have a lot of issues. I hope there's like US-focused commentators about the specifics of the inside situation of United States. As I said, as a Europeans, I saw US as an ally. That's why I was interested in US politics. I was really hoping that Harris is going to come as an ex-president. That's why I advertised for her on this channel, because she would at least preserve the status quo, and I would be safe that Ukraine is at least going to get help to not lose the war. But that's not what the US public has decided. I respect that decision. I don't support it. I wouldn't vote like this. But it's now US deal because Trump is very clearly stated that US is not a friend or an ally of the European Union. So we're gonna have transactional relationship. So I'm like kind of like I'm not really seeing the point why I would like to know what's happening in there for the sake of Ukraine. I don't think that it really matters for us. I mean, it does, but it's like not like we're gonna influence it or something. So hope there are good commentators that are covering it. Please, guys, that know, can you write to sorry, the name Modern Oddity, the guy's name Modern Oddity. Can you write to him like maybe any good commentators that cover the internal US politics? So, because I'm not going to be doing that. Joel McGarry, can the allies and other nations that want a defense start a defense alliance and build multinational defense alliance and multinational defense military industrial complex? Okay, it's a complex question. Wait, can the allies and other nations that want defense start? Well, NATO is already a pretty good alliance. Even if Article 5 is not going to be respected by the US anymore, NATO still provides pretty good framework for cooperation. It's still being used by a lot of the work that countries are doing with each other. So potentially European Union can take over that with their European army. But we'll see. Mahadi Antor, can't Ukraine sell its resources to UK or France for nuclear umbrella of deterrence? If Russia can deploy nukes for Belarus, why don't the EU do that for Ukraine? Yes, but this would require like UK and France to state that we will be the military deterrence for Ukraine. So far, there has been no offer for that. Mark C, my feelings are that less than half of what Trump proclaims he's going to do actually happens. What kind of percentage do you guess at personally? I mean, like it's just a random number generator for me. Jonathan Finlandi, hello, Georgios. Is it possible that Trump could sell weapons to Moscow? Can he decide it for himself? Thank you for the answer. Yes, he can do that. I mean, I think he can still need some approval from Congress, but overall, he can try pushing for it. But if the Congress pushed to allow RFK Jr. to be the health minister, then why not sell weapons to Moscow? Wouldn't it be better for Ukraine to have a large number of Gripens from Sweden? Yes, it would. William McDonald, looks like Hexet was having a drink yesterday. Yes, he has. John Shuttleworth, do they teach English in Ukraine schools? Yes, they do. Ethan, is there somewhere where I can buy a signed flag like that to support defenders? I'm not sure if you can buy. I mean, if it's a big donation, maybe we can talk. Write me an email. Write me an email. We'll see if you want some kind of donation to the guys. If you don't want to participate in the fundraiser, and if you want specifically the flag, maybe we can get you something because we have contacts to the groups, and then we're just gonna maybe do it like this. Write me at ukrainematters2022 at gmail.com. That's my like public account for this channel, and we'll see what we can do. Because I don't think they like sell them on the corner of the street, but we can figure something out. Would Ukraine double its army as Zelensky announced? I haven't heard that Zelensky wants to double its army. Could you, Georgescu, can you provide a little bit more details in what context Zelensky stated that he wants to double the army? Because that's not something I've heard him address. Not happening. How likely is it that European allies to pressure Ukraine to give up its legitimate territory? I am highly concerned since I don't think US alone could convince the US could. So you're asking is like, how likely is that the Europe and United States are going to pressure Ukraine? I have an answer from Meta. That's what Europe thinks about that.
Let me start by answering your first question. You were asking all of us in the panel what is the plan with Ukraine, and let me jump to conclusion. It is to win the war. that's the plan.
Yeah. So, as far as I know, Ukraine doesn't see that giving up territories is part of their victory. Should US be kicked out of NATO? No. Oh my god. What the hell? Jonathan Triffin, is possible that for Trump to sell... okay, that was already a question. John NTN, have you figured out the US position? No, I have no idea, because they walked back that position already, then they walked forward again. Like, they are tripping themselves. Like, the whole point that I was making in my last video was that they're completely incompetent, and they're stumbling over themselves, and they're stumbling over allies, and they're just like, it's a freak show. Morocco, what can you say, Georges, about the flat orange circus peanut is making concessions to Putin before negotiations? It's a stupid tactic, but it's also, they already walked it back. Kasabin, do you think President Zelensky will go into peace talks with the US without Europe? No. Oh, wait. Sorry, the question scrolled up. I've read the same questions I already answered at the start. Awesome HPT, do you think Europe should build up its own nuclear arsenal? Yes. A lot of Americans don't support Trump. I don't. In 4 years, we'll have a new president. I support Ukraine and NATO. Do you support this too? I would be very, very worried about this position that you're going to have a new president in 4 years. I think there is a lot of movement towards that not being the case. But as I said, like, I don't want to cover this. I think US is going to be figuring themselves out what they want. At least I'm not sure that Project 2025 suggests that there should be fair and honest elections. Yes, Travis Erickson says, and very, very correctly, make sure to give a shout out to the community. We raised a full truck in the last video along from Rage donations. Yes, guys, props to everyone. And I'm pretty sure like majority of you were Americans. Thank you so much for Rage donating. We got like over a whole truck, so that's like over $10,000 in like one video. Incredible, just mind-blowing. You guys rock. So I'm still gonna mention it in a video, but that's amazing. I'm still trying to find where I ended up. Oh my god. Do you know Professor Heiner Flashback? Immensely important to understand the Euro system, competitive imbalance, German underinflation, austerity regime, wrecking Europe zones and calm. Look him up. I will look him up. Let me Heiner Flashback. I will look him up. I will check him up. Just me. Thank you. Hila B, Georgie, do you know the details of this war pretty well? Georgie, you know the details of this war pretty well. You have a strong connection to fighters on the ground. From your point of view, where are some strategies you've questioned and where are some you like to see? It's like WR, so I'm expecting what are? So from your point of view, what are some strategies you've questioned and what are some you would like to see? So the strategies that I was questioning first and foremost was there was plenty. I think the biggest one was the re-enrollment of the Soviet era personnel. So what happened is people got educated because like Ukrainian army grew really fast, extensively. And what they did is they essentially have reserves, and they would get people that used to study military school, the officer school, and they would get these people as officers, and they would put them in charge of like freshly created units. Well, the whole point is that Ukrainian army in the older times, like pre 2014, was absolute dog shit garbage. It was like non-existent. It was terrible. And a lot of these institutions and universities were just like an easy way to get education, and it was just due to the corruption that people got these educations, and they actually didn't really bother with anything. So I think that was like the most problematic things that Ukrainian command did, is that instead of elevating and training existing personnel that was battle hardened and get them to the level of the competence of the officer corps, they just got like officers that were in reserve and just put them to the task, and it was fucking devastating. That's where we saw some of the worst decision that Ukrainian military has been doing. And as for what are some you would like to see, I mean, I still would like to see combined warfare. I would like to see the aviation be used more than it is right now. I still haven't seen like operations that Ukraine executing use heavy aviation warfare. So far it's been like it's a targeted bombing campaign, some strategic, some tactical, some operational bombing campaigns, but it was never like, you know, combined ops where the bombing happens as Ukrainian troops are advancing. So I would like to see a lot more combined arms warfare. I hope that makes sense. Little Bubs, we are seeing small localized Ukrainian counterattacks across the front. Do you think these are the precursor to a larger counteroffensive once Russia exhausts themselves? No, I don't think so. I think Ukrainian resources have been pretty exhausted. Like not in a sense that they don't have resources. They definitely have, and they have resources to counterattack. What I think is that Ukraine don't have competent big-scale reserves that would allow for big-scale counteroffensive. I think it's going to be localized operations, maybe around the scale of Kursk, but I'm not discounting that it might happen. Rabiata Zell called the US out for not having a plan almost immediately. Okay, thank you. Lil Bobs, I remember seeing there was a buildup of Russian boats and equipment along the Dnipro near Kherson. Even if it's futile, can we expect a large Russian attack at some point? No, not there. Mahadi Antor, can Europe put up with sanctions or tariffs? It doesn't go with Trump. Okay, I already answered that question a bit earlier. You can rewind and watch that. Kaimo, should Europe threaten Trump with alliance with China? It's a possible negotiating position. I think it's a like threaten, maybe not, but as a part of like some kind of negotiated discussion, yeah, why not? Of course. Mahdi Andor, also, can Ukraine hold out for 4 years, or maybe Ukrainian accept a bad ceasefire deal right now and begin fighting again after the next US elections? No. No, the only thing that is worse than no deal is bad deal. So, no bad deals. Lugia Kane, have you heard any news on European boycotts on US in rotation over Canada? Not really. I haven't really heard that. Maybe some individual countries, but nothing on a large scale. Gaming Bonnie, do you think that Putin is explaining to Trump how to proceed becoming a dictator on this one, and half hour phone calls. Nah, I don't think so. You're looking too much into it. That's not how Putin acts and so on. Like Putin doesn't want Trump as his like ally or anything. Trump is just a tool for him. Tosanabe, how do you rate Trump team's average IQ? I don't know, room temperature. Mahadi Anton, from what I understand, EU needs time to build up its army once again. Can it do it within 4 years and begin to retake Ukraine once again? It's a possibility. It depends how serious we're going to approach it. CLV Diku asks, hi, Georgie. To which degree do you think Ukraine can cripple the Russian oil and gas infrastructure, and what impact? Significantly, if the strikes will continue and they will just increase. Stephen Jones, don't you feel like people worry about Trump too much? He just made $500 billion deal for supporting Ukraine. He didn't make $500 billion deal. Isn't it Trump's interest, of the US interest, for Russia to win? Too much fear-mongering? Trump did not do $500 billion deal, my friend. Well, I'm gonna guess you're a MAGA guy, so you just heard Trump saying something, and then you believed him. But if there was no document signed, there is no deal. This is, again, we're talking about the imaginary reality that just comes out of Trump's mouth, and the actual reality where there is no signed deal between US and Ukraine on the mineral resources. Trump's finance minister came out, Treasury Secretary of Treasury came to Ukraine, proposed a deal on a table that says, give us half of your 1 trillion resources, the 500 billion resources, and we're going to continue supporting Ukraine. Maybe it's not part of this proposal, but in general, we're giving you our word. And Ukraine said, thank you, no thank you, fuck off. That's not a deal. That is not a deal. Alexander Angelikov, what is the situation with the... I mean, if you want to think so, then go ahead. Like, Trump just made US 500 billion richer then. Good luck. Send weapons. Alexander Angelikov, what is the situation with the Russian refineries? Are they managing to repair them? Yes, but continuing strikes are making it more and more difficult. Legislator, how is the Orc bridgehead located Dvorishna being countered? So far, pretty badly. The good news is that seems that they are pushing towards north. So like Ukraine is seemingly kind of short on resources in their area, so they're trying to protect the more crucial part, which is the big logistics hubs of Kupiansk in that area. I'm going to show them up, like, just because some people might not understand what I mean. So let me just open them up, just show. So the question is, like, what's being done about this Russian bridgehead? So you can see it's expanding, right? So what is being done about this Russian bridgehead? So far, it feels that they are expanding towards the north, whereas it seems that Ukrainians, they're feeling that they're kind of short on resources. So they're trying to protect their key logistics hub on Kupiansk. So they're kind of trying maybe to concentrate defenses right over here. Whereas to the north of here, I mean, it is still Ukrainian land, right? And it hurts me to see every bit of Ukrainian land captured. But literally, there is no kind of major, I don't know, like, there is no strategic objectives in this area, if you understand what I mean. Like, and I want this as most respectable to Ukrainians as I can. So that's kind of the short answer to your question. That it seems that Ukraine is protecting what they can, and what they cannot protect, well, they can't. Dominus ZG, Georgies, are you of the same opinion that Europe alone, if pulls its weight in defense spending, can sustain itself in Ukraine without betraying US? Yes, but it's, again, like, if US just going to come out, it's not going to be without pain. So that's the whole point. Sub-Hero, hey, how are you doing, my friend? Nice seeing you again. With NATO dead, what is Russia's next move? Taking 5, 10, 15, 20 year time window? Well, first and foremost, they still need to get out of the mess that they have in Ukraine. They still haven't done it. And as I said, nothing so far suggests that Russia can win this war. So we'll see how they will try to wiggle their way out. So far, they're not ready to negotiate in any kind of good faith. So it continues on. Michael Molmoran, sorry for butchering your name. Don't you think that Kursk is going to be Putin's downfall? Maybe. It's too early to say. Let's see where we're going to be at the end of 2025. Super Crazy Cool Mario Bros asks, a lot of Americans don't support Trump. I don't. In 4 years, we have a new president. I support Ukraine and NATO. Do you support this too? Yes, I do support. I already mentioned about we're going to have a new president in 4 years comment. And I know that a lot of Americans don't support Trump. And that's why I don't hate US. I don't hate America. I still love it. I still love the people, everything. But you do need to understand that at least for the next 2 years until the midterm elections, that Trump and his party is fully in control, the whole of United States in his grasp. So as much as I would like to say is 50% of America doesn't support what Trump is doing, yes, but he has the 100% control of the power. So that's the problem. So we are trying to live in a real world on this channel. In a real world, despite the fact that there's half of America that doesn't support Trump, he has the power. Okay? Tosanabe, what is the reason Zelensky putting sanctions to Poroshenko? Why he is obsessed with Poroshenko, who spent his 600 million for the Ukrainian army? I don't like this. Zelensky is not the Zelensky of 5-6 years ago. It's a weird argument. So Poroshenko has been funneling money, as far as I've heard, outside of Ukraine. There is also other talks about what he has been doing. So if it's deemed that he's done something illegal, we'll hope what it's doing that it's legal. But I mean, Poroshenko is an oligarch. Why do you support oligarchs? I don't. I don't support any oligarchs. So I don't know. It's not a situation that I was looking too much in depth. It's an internal Ukraine question. So I'm not really completely sure why relationship between the government of Ukraine and an oligarch of Ukraine is something that makes you question whether or not you should support Ukraine. I think it's a weird position to have. Okay. Mahadi Antor, I have a far-fetched question. Do you think USA will be willing to play a junior role to EU like EU does for US if US... No, I don't think so, not with the Trump administration. Mitch Ashdown, will California be just liability to Denmark? Okay, it's a joke. In Denmark, we started gathering signatures to buy California from United States. It's not going to happen. It's impossible under US Constitution. We cannot, the states cannot leave United States. Arimo, I would create a system like this. Finland, Baltics, Poland, Romania, and UK should negotiate with the Ruskies behalf of NATO because of the century. I mean, cool story, bro. It's good that you have a proposal, but that does nothing for us. If it's not a reality, if it's not being discussed on a higher level, then you're in the same boat as me, and I'm a nobody that just has a channel on YouTube. And the only good things that we're doing is that we're supporting Ukrainian armed forces. Participate in Fundraiser. That's the best thing you can do. Unfortunately, past us in our election, we don't really have, and maybe bothering our politicians, we don't have that much influence on what's the politics like, who's going to create what kind of alliances and so on. Sorry. Gaming Bonnie, do you think Trump got some tips in the 1.5 hour phone call with Putin? Yes, we already discussed this. Kiki Lopez, do you, your opinion, NATO, Europe will actually step up the lead? I know my opinion is not no, but hell no. What? I don't know. Yes, you will step up. Modern Odyssey, I messaged you what's going on with Blue Sky 2 days ago. I live in New York. It's too much info to go over a small message on here. Just want you to all protect yourself. Fuck or rogue government. Slava Ukraini. I have a lot of 100 messages on Blue Sky, so I will check out the message and I'll try to find yours. So Sorry if I didn't answer it. I have a lot of stuff. Messages, emails, they just come like in packages. I'm sorry if I'm not answering all enough. Everything will be clear to you very, very soon. I promise. I promise I will show what I've been doing, what I've been up to all this time. You will love it. Do you think USA will turn into empire like that happened to Rome after Caesar? Caesar did it to manage the large empire and make decisions fast. USA needs that? Question mark. Is the world that much volatile? No? Question mark. Yes, it's possible, but dictatorships, modern dictatorships, they appear good only at first time, but then they just go to shit, and then there is no freedom. And then you end up in a dictatorship, and then you're like, oh shit, what do? I have no freedom. I have no say. Welcome to dictatorships. So far, what is happening in US is greatly been referred to as Eastern Europeization of the United States. That a lot of things like oligarchy, the delusion of the rule of law, removal of checks and balances, that's like more of a reflection of like how you would imagine Eastern Europe look like, not the United States. Derek, do you think this could be all along troll by Trump to get Europe to do more for Ukraine? No, Derek, I already said that the only way this motivates Europe to do more is that like Trump essentially set their own house on fire and running around naked, threatening the world apocalypse. And people like looking at us like, we should consider like insurance and safety for our locks, like because our neighbor is like acting pretty weird. Not that he's like encouraging or being like reasonable here. Different things. Unless you think that this is how the country should act, then I'm just like, then I can say that Trump is so good he already signed 500 billion deals with Ukraine. There we go. Canada, hi G. Can you give us some advice on Canadians how the alliances are going? Buy European, join you. There we go. Morocco, do you think Russia introduced battle donkeys a game changer? No. You know they exist. Discuss this, question mark column. Zelensky merely noted that Ukraine would need a 1.5 million standing army and $60 billion a year to defend itself, if not allowed NATO membership. Yes, correct. That's what we've calculated on this channel as well. This is absolutely accurate. If there is no NATO membership, then Ukraine to defend itself needs an army. Zelensky says, like, we will not sign a contract if there is no substitute for a NATO membership. NATO membership is the cheapest way forward. If there is not substitute, then we'll need a 1.5 million army or nukes. And he's just being reasonable. He's basically stating is like, this is not going to end. We're not going to give up unless we get security guarantees. So if you want this to be done, then we need security guarantees. This is our security guarantees. Deal with this. He's doing everything correctly. This is the right way forward. Henny Bjorklid, every country in Europe should buy drone license from Ukraine. They should put a license fee for every drone they produce. Thus, Ukraine would get more money in each country. Maybe. Infinite Inc. Could U.S. industrial complex suffer if they aren't able to see arms and supply in Europe? Yes, there's like a series of videos of like price of losing European arms market. You should watch that. The guy or girl, I don't remember who it was, but like someone that makes those videos, he put like a lot of like data on paper that describes just how insane would a loss for US be of losing European arms market. It's ludicrous. Like numbers are insane. Google those videos. They're on YouTube. Like it's a series of videos. Max Brook, are Americans that dumb they believe the noise that comes out of Trump's mouth? If so, they are doomed. I don't try to label people dumb, especially if it's like half of the country. There are some really smart people that voted for Trump. So I think Trump just appealed to the sides of humanity that personally me and a lot of people in Europe find atrocious. And I know a lot of people in the US also find it atrocious. But there's a lot of people that find it appealing. I don't think it's about being dumb. I think it's about maybe not caring, not having empathy, or just being deluded. I don't know. It's like, why do people join cults, you know? It's a big question, and I think it's going to be a huge case study, because if Trump would not be elected, then his 2016 presidency would be just a blimp in history that would just going to be over, and then MAGA would be over, and then US maybe slowly would kind of come to more reasonable conclusion. But right now it's like, shit, man. I mean, there's a lot of blame. Like, don't get me wrong. I think I want to finish with this. Like, guys, thank you so much for questions. I'm going to wrap it up here. Sorry for not answering, but I'm going to wrap it up here. We've been here, I think, like 2 hours already, no? Something. Yeah, almost 2 hours. So I'm going to finish with this. The fact that Trump got elected is a lot of blame also, we need to understand, on the US system. Like, because Democrats did not really offer shit. They didn't. Like, Democrats potentially are even more to blame than Trump. Because while everyone understands, like, reasonable that I talk to with the United States that are not like completely deluded, even if they understand that, like, you know, that what Democrats were offering potentially can be better than Trump, some people were just like, but like, things are bad. Like, things are bad for the working class people. And instead of proposing anything, like just changing anything for the working class people, Democrats just basically said, we're just going to do the same thing as always. The most telling was the Kamala Harris's the non-answer to the question, how are you different from Biden? And that was insane. That was the most insane non-answer. And despite the fact that I think, like, on macro level, Biden was pretty good, but he wasn't good for working class. Like, a lot of people got really disappointed. There are really serious issues in the United States that are really frustrated to a lot of working people. And instead of like going through that and talking with that, they propose non-solution. This is the same that we have in Europe. The reason why we have the rise of the Alternative for Germany, Le Pen, and so on, is because there is a non-solution. It's because our political class has grown so complacent that they understood that the best that they can do, at least how they see it, is come to politics, do absolutely nothing for the time of your tenure, and then just go into opposition to just challenge your opponents in the next election. That's it. That's what they were doing. They were just working on the election. And this led our countries and our European countries to stagnation and shit. We were too afraid to take any charges, to take any changes. And this anger accumulated a lot also in Europeans. You can see that by the rise of the AfD and so on. Because there needs to be meaningful change. Everyone wants some meaningful change. And the current political class doesn't really offer that meaningful change. Trump offered meaningful change. And he is delivering that meaningful change. Like, you look at what's happening right now. Can you not call it meaningful change? Because it is. It's a massive change. It's a change for the worse in my perspective, but it's a change nonetheless. So I can easily see that a lot of people, not necessarily because they're dumb, but because they're like, I cannot do it. Like, it's fucked up. Like, the system is fucked up. It just doesn't work for me. Let's break it. Fuck it. I can see them voting like that. I think that's the worst part. Because of the frustration and inaction of politicians, the inability of Democrats to adapt, the inability of Democrats to actually fight for their electorate. Like, look at them now. Look at Democrats now. For me, the most telling, you know what was? That there was not a single challenge for any kind of votes or recounts or whatever. You remember, like, when Trump lost in 2020? Like, he filed all of these lawsuits. He said, like, oh my God, like, we need this recounting, we need that recounting, and so on. Democrats, fuck it, we lost, that's it. Show's over. Not that it would matter, But it just underscores just how little the fight there was. What about Harris? She almost disappeared from everywhere. She disappeared as a political leader. She was never a leader. She was just like a figure that was just put in place. It feels artificial. And Trump feels genuine. Like, he's insane, like, in my perspective. Like, but you cannot argue that it feels that he has like a point that he wanted to get to, and he really wanted to fight for his point. False point, anti-democratic, absolutely insane. But the feeling was like, for the people that voted for him, is like, hey, this guy, he wants to fight for my vote. So it's not about being dumb or smart. It's not about just falling and being idiotic. I think that it's a combination of factor. And for us, the people that are opposite to Trump, I think the word that we need to overcome, specifically Europe, because that word has been the detriment to a lot of our problems. That word is complacency. And complacency is why people like Alternative for Germany, Le Pen, Danish Democrats, which has nothing to do with democracy, by the way. It's like having a democratic in your country name. All of this is happening because of the complacency of the existing ruling class. Everyone wants change. Everyone wants positive change. The current system is not properly working. Thank you so much for watching this, guys. I appreciate it. If you disagree with me, that's fine. We're having a democracy here. You're absolutely allowed to have your own opinion. I love you anyway. Support Ukrainian armed forces. Ukraine is what matters. I'll see you next time. And I love you.